So moving on now to the walking human controversy that is Milo Yiannopoulos. So this guy, as you know, is now the former editor at Breitbart News. And he goes around talking hate speech, and he's come under fire for a recent video which has surfaced, and we'll show you a clip of that now.
This arbitrary and oppressive idea of consent, which totally destroys, the understanding that many of us have of the complexities and subtleties and complicated nature of many relationships. People are messy and complex, and actually in the homosexual world particularly, some of those relationships between younger boys and older men, the sort of coming of age relationships, the relationships in which those older men help those young boys to discover who they are and give them security and safety and provide them with love and a reliable and sort of a rock where they can't speak to their parents. Some of those relationships are some of the most
molestation to me. It sounds
well,
like
you know what?
It sounds like Catholic priest molestation to me.
And you know what? I'm grateful for Father Michael. I wouldn't give nearly such good head if it wasn't for him.
Oh my God! I can't handle it.
It's funny because
what is wrong with you, Ben? Come on.
So Nick, he's lost a massive book deal as a result of this. His invitation to speak at a major Conservative conference has been withdrawn. What do you think? Too harsh?
I think it's pretty interesting that Milo finally kind of went too far, I guess. I should say, I think we should be cautious about this because, guys, he's like a nuclear cockroach, I suspect. He's probably going to try and stick around for a while. It did force him to make the first apology he's ever made. I think the guys that actually did the podcast in the first place, they're these dudes called the Drunk Peasants who they don't strike me as especially political. They're definitely not like left wing. They're just kind of like beardy stoner kind of guys. They made a kind of a good point when they followed up and they said, what did you expect from Milo? Like they said of Simon and Schuster, you signed the guy. I mean, really, what did you expect? But I think at the same time, it's interesting to me that and I'm quite happy that pedophilia and any kind of implication of it is still you can't go there. You can't go there. No. And Milo is such a cocky little brat, and he's so overconfident, and he's so convinced of his own intellect and rhetoric.
In your opinion?
Well, in my opinion, and these are all traits that, frankly, I totally revile.
That's right. Don't sue us.
I think he just ran his mouth off as usual, and he's so used to treading this I'm going to be shocking kind of ground.
Yeah, he thought he was untouchable.
He did, and that's been his MO. And really, I got to say, as many people will, sucked in, dude, because he's just the way that he pushes people's buttons and the real world consequences that has. It was getting way out of control.
Pretty fascinating character, though. Come on, you have to admit it. I mean, considering his background and his sexuality and the stuff that he's spewing out, usually don't hear that from someone with that sort of background.
Certainly not from the right.
That's right.
That's part of the gimmick, though.
Yeah,
he'd been at it for ages, and he loves to do his very flopsy and limp-wristed in his delivery, and he loves to sort of harp on the gay thing. He does.
Yeah, he does.
He loves to talk about his predilection for black cock and all of this sort of stuff. He brings it up because he thinks it's kind of shocking, and I think he thinks it's interesting when bound up within his alleged kind of obsession with free speech and libertarianism, which are just... It's just fake. It's not really true. And I think it's really noteworthy that it was only relatively recently that he started mentioning his Jewish heritage out of the blue.
I didn't realise he'd done that.
I thought he was a Greco.
Yeah, I think
so he's born in Greece.
He's born in Greece.
He's raised in the UK.
Yeah, right.
He's basically raised a Catholic. But then he drops the maternal Jewish lineage thing.
Oh, right. To save himself. Yes.
Well, no, just to be able to say, and I'm a Jew.
Jewish.
So how could it be? How could what I'm saying be homophobic? I'm gay. It's for me, it's like very boring kind of rhetoric to me. I don't race
sort of like covering your ass, because you're basically saying, well, if I come from this sort of background, I can make these sort of comments.
That's right.
If I'm Jewish, I can say things that are
anti-Semitic,
and it should be okay.
Yeah, which is bullshit because you're selling yourself as an exceptional as an exception to the rule. So it's kind of like that doesn't play any which way you slice it.
But what I found interesting about this whole thing is that this guy has said so much stuff, and he has said so much stuff to vilify so many different types of people. He'd go onto university campuses, he'd mock students in the audience who were of particular characteristics. For example, I think the one story that I came across was that he'd actually mocked a transgender student in the audience, right? He was banned from Twitter. I mean, he got banned from Twitter. Like, and you know how bad Twitter is for basically trolling Leslie Jones. And so, you know, he's said so much outrageous stuff. Feminism is cancer. I mean, I've got a whole list of it here. Why do lesbians fake so many hate crimes? He's encouraged people to purge the illegals. He says birth control makes women fat and unattractive. You know, I mean, this
Why
guy...
does he care?
He doesn't.
He is an Islamophobe, he's a misogynist, he's transphobic, and he engages in harassment. And it's only now that he starts to feel the consequences of it.
It's because you can't talk about fucking kids. It's very interesting. No. There's only one person that's ever gotten away with being a pedophile, really.
Who's that?
It's Michael Jackson.
Well, that's debatable.
You see, look at this. I like Michael Jackson.
I
don't want to admit it. That's what's happening, my friend.
It's true.
It's true. But listen,
that.
I'll tell you what Milo is. Milo is... He's an internet troll, basically, that was 3D printed into real life, okay? He admitted once, and later retracted, that his persona was actually run by like 44 different people. You know, a total digital construction that grew out of 4chan. The one thing I'll give him credit for is he was smart enough to pick exactly the kind of punter that liked Donald Trump, and he rode it. He was definitely clever enough to do that, but in my opinion, that's about where his cleverness ends. And I'll tell you what, that was a pretty fucking dumb thing to say on that goddamn podcast.
But where does he go from here, guys? Do you think this actually
he'll come back.
This elevates his status?
He'll come back.
I don't know, because I really think that as a taboo.
What's the name Milo? I always think about that movie, Milo and Onion.
Yeah. No, I think he'll come back.
Yeah.
I think he'll come back, and I think the way he put it, and I think the way he put the resignation from Breitbart was very interesting
sad.
because, of course, there were a number of people at Breitbart, employees who were insisting that he be sacked or they were going to walk. And then the next day he comes out and says, I've resigned. And he made a really big point of saying, I wasn't pushed to go. This is my decision out of respect for my fellow employees. He'll come back. He'll come back. And I think...
He hasn't gone anywhere.
He will not. He will get another book deal. This is like the third book deal he's had. There's been no book. I mean, he's actually not published a book. He's got all these book deals.
Oh no, he posted a screenshot of like that he'd written 75,000 words or something. He posted it of his.
Well, anyway, I just think I find it really bizarre. Look, I think that pedophilia is somewhere where you can't go. Obviously, that's something I believe in, but. I think it's interesting that the alt-right people who are so in favour of free speech, you know, you can say whatever you want about Muslims, say whatever you want about women, say whatever you want about anyone with a disadvantage.
But we're not pedophiles, damn it!
We're not pedophiles,
right.
and we won't let that be discussed. And I think that angle is the most interesting.
He went too far. He believed his own bullshit too much. Let's put it that way.
I don't know. He did try and put a fine point on it. I mean, just to be fair to him, which I don't really think you have to be, but. You know, he tried to say that it was about. He was trying to make a distinction between legal minors and children. You know, sexually developed minors was kind of what he said he was talking about. But
he's just talking from personal experience, and you really can't do that, and I understand that. But I think somewhere along the line, considering he is who he is, people are going to take it a certain way, and they're going to really run with it. So, you know. Sorry, Milo.
Well, you know, there was a lot of people sitting there waiting for this. And the drunk peasants, I got to give them like a little bit of kind of credit here, because they were so up in arms that they didn't break that story, even though they broke that story, which had actually come off the back of a previous podcast that Milo had appeared upon, and they probed deeper with it. And they
probed deeper. That's
so to speak.
Fantastic.
But they were so pissed off that it hadn't come out when they did the show a year ago, which was viewed hundreds of thousands of times. It's not like nobody watched it. But I have to say, dudes, your podcast goes for like 2.5 hours. It's too fucking long. There was no journalist in the world could be bothered to trawl through that,
and that's
except the one that
probably
really
an
hates Milo.
Cue for us to wrap up that conversation. All right, Miranda Devine, she's at it again. This time she's on the Today Show and says that...
Yeah. Did you watch the Today Show?
I can't
Please
help
don't say you watched
laughing.
the
No, I
Today
didn't
Show.
watch it. I didn't watch it, but I did see this on Twitter, which made me sort of go... In fact, I saw her tweet and that made me click on it, where she says that cigarettes aren't that bad from a public health perspective because they shorten people's lives,
Yeah.
and so that saves money in the long run for the health system.
Did you see the reaction from Carl and all those people? Oh my God, I can't believe she just said that.
It's pretty
Do you know who
outrageous.
this woman is? Do you know who she is? You bloody idiots. Do you know what she
was
says?
outrageous. I was outraged.
Oh my God, I can't believe she said that. Do you know what this is what she does for a living.
Yeah.
She's a provocateur.
You're
true.
saying she said this, she doesn't believe it, she just
No,
says it?
she's just a businessman.
Yeah.
It's to make us talk about it, which we are, and it's to make people go, oh my God, people like Carl who don't, you know, and that other person, the former Channel 10 reader who's at 9 now, I don't know your name because you're not important enough, but anyway. Yeah, she was totally shocked.
Well, it was pretty shocking. I found it shocking.
Yeah, but you know what? It wasn't as shocking as the time before. She was on Today last year, I think, and she said that basically ice junkies should be chemically castrated from having any more children. So I think the smoking thing, frankly, that's a joke I've been making for years.
Yeah. And we smoke.
And we do
Yeah,
smoke.
that's right, we smoke.
Yeah.
I'm not offended by it.
I'm sure you're not offended.
No, I'm not. She's, you know, who
I
cares?
just think it's a bizarre thing to say. She was on the show to talk about the junk food ban. Okay, so they're talking about this push to ban junk food, and then they refer to the smoking, and then she says, "Oh, it's okay for people to smoke. You know, at least we'll save numbers in terms of population and effect on the health system." It's like you're
bless
not a
her.
health economist.
That's right.
Why would I even listen to you?
I don't know. I'll tell you why. Because she's better than Milo. She's still there.
Maybe
she's still there. I'm telling
the same.
you.
It's only
I'm telling
shame.
you.
You know,
I'm
it's only
telling you.
shame.
I'm telling you. When Tony Abbott lost the prime ministership of this country, she was restored to her rightful place as Australia's preeminent troll, and she is still the best.
Well, I tell you, she's producing some pretty good content. So Miranda, at least giving us something to talk about. Thanks for that. To our huge international audience, this might not mean very much, but apparently the dog that NRL player Mitchell Pearce pretended to seduce, Bella, has died.
No, he didn't pretend to. He just dry humped her.
What do you reckon,
No, look,
Sash? What's going on here?
Wait. Explain what we're talking about.
Because Bella the dog died last year.
Yeah, like died last year.
And the Daily Mail have run another story, as I understand
It's
it,
an obit of
about
sorts.
Yeah, it's an obit.
Mitchell Pearce and Bella the dog.
Well, it's, they wanted to mark
It's an obit.
Bella's passing. I just say
Yeah,
that,
man.
that picture's from Facebook, that's the picture the Daily Mail read.
Pretty good-looking
I
dog.
assume that is the right dog.
Oh, well, regardless.
Who knows?
And
Who
not
knows?
some, I hope it's not Bella's cousin who's still alive and currently fucking being defamed like crazy by us.
But what is going on with the Daily Mail? I mean, why would they run this
I
story
think people
again?
have been asking that question for years, but no one's found the answer.
They run some crazy shit at the Daily Mail, but that one.
It's a wonderful publication, by the way.
That one really got me. An open for the dog that Mitchell Pearce pretended to root, thereby ruining his career and possibly, this is total speculation, okay, I'm not saying that he's in any way directly responsible for the dog's demise.
Yeah.
It was 15 years old.
That's right. It was 15 years old.
It
But he
did
likes them
die.
old, man. He likes them old. He likes them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh gosh! So the dog had come to
The
the
older
end
the
of
berry,
its
the
natural
sweeter the
life.
juice.
The older dog has more tricks.
Poor
That's
Bella.
But you know what I found funny is that at the time he was quoted as saying to News Corp that I had an erratic personality and I just chased temptations. Hold on, it doesn't end there. Being in the spotlight made me insecure in different areas. What's this guy thinking?
what-
I don't know.
You know,
I don't know.
Did you see what he did? Oh, I don't care anymore. I'm going to fuck your dog. That's what he did.
I mean, it's astounding that we're even talking about it. And in a way, I sort of feel quite uncomfortable
No.
because poor Bella has died.
Yeah, but I
I mean, you
think
shouldn't speak about.
There's an
She was
underlying
still
angle
adults when
here.
they
But there's
died.
hold on. There's an underlying angle here. You see, yesterday Andrew Johns came out and said that Mitchell Pearce was a changed person. So the guy got suspended for 8 weeks, fined $125,000 by the NRL when this did happen.
Yeah.
And now Andrew Johns is pushing for this guy to come back into the Origin arena. Now, I'm guessing, right, in my opinion, that someone at the Daily Mail has got an axe to grind here. So they've seen that yesterday. Now, the dog died last year, so there's no real need to actually have this story full stop, right, let alone today.
Well, nobody else ran it.
No, that's true, Bella.
Strangely enough.
Well, we're very sorry to have lost you, Bella, and hopefully you're having a nice time in doggy heaven.
Yeah.
Or if you're
Sorry.
in doggy hell, there's probably Mitchell Pearce's just
Oh,
running
God,
out
poor
of the
Bella.
flames of
Yeah,
that dog all the
Can't
time.
you just see them running
I think the real lesson here is whatever you read in the Daily Mail, you need to really, I don't know, take with a grain of salt. You've got to be doing a bit of investigative journalism as you're reading the
when
article.
When they say a source says, that might be barbecue, that might be tomato.
And on that note, I think we'll wrap it up for tonight. So thanks very much for watching The Third Rail. We'll see you next time.